$1,000 minimum. So we can't get there.
You're gonna have to scare it.
All right.
All right, Mayor, we
All right.
we are live with a third string camera.
All right. Well, thank you all for bearing with us with our technical difficulties today with our usual feed cameras. So we apologize that the view may not encompass the entire dais here, and that you may get to see a few extra audience members and staff members today than you usually see. So thank you all for joining us. We will go ahead and call this work session to order. And the first item of business we have is to recognize Northside Neighborhood House's Rachel Gammon, and I will turn it over to City Manager Martin Granum.
Thank you, Mayor and Commissioners. And behind me is seated Rachel, and I'll give an introduction and then I'll ask her to come up. So there's really three things when I introduce her. Then Rachel actually has a presentation on the Northside Neighborhood House, and there's hard copies on the dais for you as well as copies in the back for audience members. And then after all that, we have a presentation to present to her. So without further ado, thank you, Mayor and Commissioners. Before I introduce our honored guest, I'll provide some background. The Northside Neighborhood House is focused on empowering residents north of the Tennessee River to create thriving communities across northern Hamilton County since 1924. So ensuring individuals are housed with working utilities to supporting students in achieving academic success, the NNH focuses on creating relationships and connecting individuals to supports that aid them in creating stability for themselves and their families. With this critical mission in mind, the Northside Neighborhood House announces the upcoming retirement of its devoted Chief Executive Officer, Rachel Gammon. And Rachel, if you'll come on, stand next to me here while I finish this. After 25 years of dedicated service, Rachel began her career with the NNH in 1996, beginning as an after-school program assistant. Rachel progressed into leadership roles, demonstrating great dedication and impactful contributions, leading to her appointment as CEO in June of 2006. During her tenure, Rachel has been pivotal in advancing the NNH's mission to foster relationships and connect neighbors to resources to support their path to stability. Under her leadership, the organization has achieved significant milestones, including increasing the operating budget tenfold, expanding operations from 2 to 5 sites, and extending the footprint of student programming to encompass 10 schools across northern Hamilton County. As CEO, Rachel has been an inspirational leader, fostering a culture of collaboration, innovation, and compassion within the NNH. The organization has grown from 13 employees in 2006 to just under 70 under her guidance. It's a pleasure to introduce Rachel Gammon.
In person, but I am really honored to just be in front of you and just speak really quickly about the Neighborhood House and its impact, especially on our neighbors here in the Red Bank community. So I'm going to flip through these slides really quick. If you'll go to slide 3, it kind of shows a little bit of history of our impact over the years and some of our growth. As Martin said, when I started in 2006 in this role, we had our 2 locations in North Chattanooga, and really that's where our founders started with this concentration on the Hill City community. We were able to grow. Our first growth was into the old Austin Feed and Seed on Signal Mountain Boulevard years ago, and then we moved the store up here to its current location in 2000, I think that was 2012. And since then, in 2016, we also opened our first community school in Hamilton County at Red Bank High School. And so through some investment of the Community Foundation, Hamilton County Schools, this year we went from 5 to 10 sites. So we actually serve a complete feeder pattern here in Red Bank, which we're really excited about. So we have a full-time staff person at Red Bank Elementary, Red Bank Middle, and Red Bank High. Really high level, our stability work, and all this information is on slides, so I'm just going to point out a few things. Really, our stability work the last few years has focused on keeping our neighbors housed. And so with the crisis of affordable housing, knowing that so many of our neighbors just work in low-income jobs where they're just living paycheck to paycheck, the crisis of keeping people housed has become just tremendous. So a lot of our stability work, if you go to the next slide, or you can ask actually, next slide. focuses around those basic needs supports. We do some major distributions around school supply time and Christmas. We're all about empowerment, so we don't just give things to people. They're a part of the process. We want to be transformational, not transactional. And then we have a lot of cool things going on with empowerment classes for adults, including Tech Goes Home and cooking classes, resume building, all types of things. So if you go to the next slide, just when we're looking at impact, and again, all this data is on your sheets, but 776 was the unduplicated households we served in 2023. 21% of those were Red Bank residents. And so I just want to point out, we serve 7 zip codes, but you all in Cloudy Daisy are the largest communities that we serve and the biggest footprint really that we serve. The next slide just talks about our community school work. Again, this is just a holistic approach to serving kids. Those full-time staff people are in the schools every day, providing individual supports, connecting resources to our schools, and also in our middle and high school spaces, they are providing after-school programs so kids have a safe place to go. If you go to the next slide, this is one of the most, I started my work as that article states, working with our after-school program. It used to be on site in North Chattanooga, and we recognize that we can serve more students, the entire student population and families in the school by doing the community school model. And when we started this work at Red Bank High School in 2016, the overall graduation rate was 78% last year. And part of this is not just the neighborhood house, like Chris Dillon is a rock star. But last year, the overall graduation rate was 92% at Red Bank High School, and 95% of the kids that regularly attended some of our programming graduated on time. So that is really an exciting statistic. Our stores, our thrift stores, if you go to the next slide, are there to provide household items, clothing, furniture to folks at a low cost. I'll just point out that all Red Bank citizens should know that if they have furniture that's in good shape or working appliances, they can call and have those picked up. We have, I think on the next slide, it talks about the different partner agencies that we serve, but we have about 16 collaborative agencies where their residents that they're serving can come and shop for free. So it's really a mission-driven revenue stream for us. And then if you go to the next slide, it just shows a little bit more about our funding. So we have really experienced some tremendous growth, and most of that has been done just by intentional fundraising, grant writing. Our stores, so don't just donate, also shop, are a big revenue stream for us, as well as our annual fund. And I really tried to make it short and concise. That's probably the fastest I've ever gone, but I just do want to highlight that again. The neighborhood house was founded by a group of women in 1924 just to serve that immediate community. And really, that back in that day, there were the settlement house concept that was really, you can go anywhere to just have a lot of needs met under one roof. And that's what I really love about the community school model, is I just reflected on our impact. That's really what we're doing in those spaces, but we're also just committed to serving the residents of Red Bank and ensuring that they have a safe place to live and call home and have stability that they and their children deserve. And just excited to serve you all. I will give a shout out to my counterpart, our community impact strategist, Sarah Hall, who is here with you guys monthly, and she is our data guru. And so if you all ever want more information just about numbers and actual impact for your specific footprint, we're happy to provide those.
Fantastic. Thank you, Rachel, for joining us today. Thank you for 25 years of amazing service to our community and everyone north of the river. I can't think of anyone else better to shepherd Northside Neighborhood House to its 100th year, and you certainly have some big shoes to fill.
Mayor, I'll read this proclamation, then you
Please.
sit down, we'll get a photo of you.
Absolutely.
Rachel, this is a certificate of appreciation presented to Rachel Cameron. The City of Red Bank expresses our deepest respect and gratitude for your 25 years of service and leadership to the residents of the city and our surrounding communities. Your focus on helping those who need it most is nothing short of a blessing. Thank you, Rachel. presented this 5th day of March, 2024, signed by Mayor Holly Berry, Vice Mayor Stephanie Dalton, Commissioner Jamie Fairbanks Harvey, Commissioner Pete Phillips, Commissioner Hayes Wilkinson, and City Manager Mark Beth. Got it, thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you,
I haven't been
Rachel.
in a day.
Get to it. All right, we have another guest with us today, if everyone's okay with moving item 3 up on the agenda. We have National Telecommunicator Week, resolution number 24-1674. I welcome Mr. Granum to make that introduction.
Thank you, Mayor, and I'll ask Mr. Carney to come up and stand next to me. Jeff Carney is the Executive Director of the Hamilton County 911 Emergency Communications District and has overall strategic and operational responsibility for the district's staff, program, services, and execution of its mission. A Chattanooga native, he holds numerous certifications in emergency communications to include Emergency Number Professional ENP and Communications Unit Leader, COML, and has completed the National Emergency Number Association's Center for Management Certification Program. He holds a number of fire service certifications and is a licensed advanced emergency medical technician in Tennessee. Jeff is proud to have begun his public safety career as a telecommunicator working with Hamilton County Emergency Services. He advanced to become a shift supervisor and later the training officer of that organization before assuming his present responsibilities with the 911 district. Altogether, Jeff has worked for over 30 years in emergency communications. He believes very strongly in the professional role of the telecommunicator and works constantly to establish 911 as an equal partner in public safety alongside of fire, EMS, and law enforcement. Jeff currently serves as president of the Tennessee Emergency Number Association, as chair of the Tennessee Valley Regional Communication Systems 911 Committee, chair of the Tennessee Emergency Communication Board's Operation Advisory Committee, as the deputy state coordinator for the Tennessee Telecommunicator Emergency Response Task Force, on the National Joint Tennessee Emergency Response Task Force Initiative Committee Board, and the Tennessee Emergency Communication Board's Policy Advisory Committee.
That's a lot of committees.
It's a lot. Ladies and gentlemen, Jeff Carney.
Makes it sound like I need to resign.
Done the work, Jeff.
What do you do after lunch?
So it goes without saying that when I get started talking about 911, I can go until midnight. So if you need to ring a gong, if a hook needs to come out and drag me away from the podium, then I completely understand. It will not hurt my business.
Let's shoot for about 12 minutes.
We'll shoot for that. Thank you for the opportunity to speak to you tonight. We brought up first some statistics for you that are both what we do year-round and what we do specifically for the city of Red Bank. So we answer over 600,000 calls in a year. That's 911 and non-emergency calls. We have about 400,000 outbound calls, so that makes our inbound, outbound about 1 million. The important thing about that is you have to pay more for technology if you're doing 1 million inbound, outbound. So we're considered a tier 1, which is top line size-wise for a 911 center. We have over 350,000 calls dispatched across all disciplines, and over 600,000 radio talk minutes. So the talk minutes are, of course, spread out across all channels that we dispatch for, which is a lot of them, but 600,000 radio talk minutes is the equivalent of one person talking nonstop for about a year or 2 months. So, and we know probably who's responsible for a lot of that. Not this fire department, but yeah, it may be fire department related. So we do about 1,500 to 2,000 calls a day. Our busiest day, I hate to even bring it up, considering our weather tonight, but it was April 27th, 2011, during the tornado outbreak. We did about 6,000 calls that day. on July 16th, 2015, when we had the terrorist attack at the Naval Center. We did about 5,000 calls that day. So they can flex up and down as needed. For Red Bank 911 calls, you had 2,595 last year. 2,270 of those were wireless calls, which is typical of what we see nowadays. 197 are landline. I'm glad to know people still have landlines. 128 of those are voice over IP phones. The Red Bank text to 911 calls were 33. 5 or 10 digit calls were 87. The police 10 digit calls were 9,216. So altogether you had 11,852 total calls for the city of Red Bank. Fire responses we logged in our CAD was 1,600. Red Bank police responses was 11,259 for a total of 12,859 for Red Bank. On our staffing, which is the next slide, we're budgeted 175 employees. We have 9 in technology, 6 in admin and HR, and then operations, obviously the most important part of our organization, has 160. 137 of those are telecommunicators. They're the ones that are answering the calls and dispatching your police, fire, and EMS. This allows us to a lot of flexibility. So before I left this afternoon, of course, getting ready for the storms, we normally have 5 personnel on second shift assigned to fire and EMS. So 4 fire dispatchers, 1 EMS dispatcher. Tonight we have 7 assigned to it with the capability to go up to 8. We've got 3 extra law enforcement dispatchers on duty, and they're already assigned at what we call tactical positions. So if we have an area that gets hit, we can start moving stuff off and taking care of that specific incident. So we try to address that stuff proactively rather than reactively, because we know that time really matters in something like that. We have our own training unit, which I think is important. I'm very proud of our training unit. They speak nationally at all of our professional conferences, NENA, APCO, as well as they're sought out throughout the state for their expertise on stuff. So I'm very proud of our training staff. 2 of my training staff that I originally hired back when we unified, I'm proud of this too, so I'm gonna bring it up. One of them is now the executive director of Metro Nashville 911. And the other is a deputy commissioner in the Department of Safety for the state of Tennessee. So I'm really proud of those 2, and glad, and they haven't forgot where they came from. And I appreciate it. On the next slide, we're going to look at some services beyond call taking and dispatching that we do that a lot of people may not be aware that we do. And I'll talk about each one of these in turn, but it's text to 911, pulse point, prepared, and rapid SOS. So on the next slide, the text to 911, we were the first countywide deployment of text to 911 in Tennessee. We went live in 2019. It took us way too long to get there. We always do a shout out to Senator Gardenhire for his assistance, and the deaf and hard of hearing community here in Hamilton County. Senator Gardenhire and that group really worked hard to make sure that there was pressure to get the capability here with our backing and our support, and we're glad that they did. We've received over 1,500 calls for help via text since go live. What we say is if you're deaf, hard of hearing, or speech impaired, text 911. It's going to work just like a voice call for you. We take it with the same priority. It rings in just like a 911. Our people answer it just like a 911, except they're engaging in text instead of voice. If you're in a situation where you can't talk for safety reasons, text 911. Otherwise, please go ahead and call. We'd rather handle that call because it's faster, but we're totally prepared and do regularly handle the text to 911 call. I have really heartbreaking stories of that. Just as soon as we went live, we had a domestic violence situation where a female had hid from her attacker in a closet. She was ready for it to be over. He was rampaging, hid in the closet. She was trying to be as quiet as possible. She texted us and we were able to get help to her. I don't think that would have been possible without text 911. And one of our earliest calls when we went live was from a small child that as I was watching it, I was thinking it had to be a prank because it sounded just so horrible. There's no way anybody's been through that. But this child was locked in a basement. He had snuck a cell phone into the basement. It was a victim of horrible abuse. And he was scared to make a sound. He was scared that he had the cell phone. And he was texting us. And as I was reading, I said, they're going to get there and this is going to be a prank. This has got to be a prank. And it was not a prank. It was a real life event. So thank God that we had text to 911. And we're very proud that that service is there. On the next slide, Pulse Point. Pulse Point Hamilton County is a collaboration between 911, Park Ridge Hospital, and Memorial Hospital. Its purpose is to get CPR trained individuals to the scene where CPR is needed fast and preferably with an aid. So this is an app that's available to anybody for free on the App Store. You look at Pulse Point, it'll ask you what location you're at. You put in your location and it'll let you know that we're using Pulse Point here. So as soon as we build a call into our system that says CPR, it will activate, send out a notification. If it's in a commercial building, it's not going to send people to people's homes. But if it's in a commercial building where the CPR is needed, it will notify rescue within a 2-mile radius of that so that they can respond and do CPR. It'll also point them to the nearest AED so they can grab that on the way and take it there with the intent that the trained rescuer doing highly effective CPR will have a greater save rate. And we see that throughout the use of that. It's also very popular with a lot of the responders because you can get on there and see some select calls. You can set up different kind of notifications if you want to know about brush fires or something in your area. You can see that as well. The next slide talks about Rapid SOS. Believe it or not, when cell phones became a thing, they didn't think that if you called 911 that you wanted us to know your location. So, you know, when you download an app, the app will usually ask you, do you want to allow location services? Yes, no, or maybe, or only when using the app. So they thought that nobody calling 911 would want their location known. We fussed about it for years. And a bunch of companies came out and started making apps that said, well, before you call 911, hit this app. And we were against that. We said, we've spent years training people to dial 911. We want them to dial 911 and then we want their location. And we think any reasonable person would. Well, Rapid SOS actually came in and worked with the operating systems for Apple and Android phones and basically bypassed that and said, they dial 911, we're passing their advanced location to them. So we're going to look at wireless routers, printers, any kind of Wi-Fi device that's available and try to pinpoint them, not only, you know, within a row of houses, but inside that house. What room are they in? Works very well in office buildings and things like that. So we go from like a 300 meter, if it's just a plain wireless call without Rapid SOS, it's about a 300-meter radius that we're looking for somebody, which is way, way too big. And Rapid SOS will get us down within feet of that. It also provides us more health information about the caller. If you fill out the emergency information in your smartphone, that comes through when you dial 911. We have to press a button that says we need to see it. Because if you're not calling about a medical thing, we're probably not going to look at your medical information if you're calling for a police matter or something like that. But if it is medical, having your drug allergies or any other kind of allergies would be very helpful to have. And then I've got my example on there that my medical condition is I work at 911. That's why I back up to the pharmacy. Next is Prepared. We've been using Prepared about a year and a half now. Prepared is another service that we use in-house. It doesn't require any action on the part of the caller until we take a call as you're describing it to us, whether it be a motor vehicle accident or a house fire. Our telecommunicator will send you a link that says go live with Hamilton County 911. As soon as you hit that link, then we'll have control of your camera and be able to see what you see on your camera. We can take snapshots of that. We can take those snapshots, attach them to the computer system that we have, that your police and fire have in their apparatus. And they can have a quick look before they get there what's going on. So being able to see if it's just a car on its top, especially would be helpful for the fire department. Being able to see that there's actually fire coming through the roof of that house would be helpful as soon as they get that information. And then the remains of that car with the surprise-looking guy inside of it, he wasn't hurt. He got transported, but he's still alive and with us. But he has a very surprised look on his face, and I don't blame him because all his cars are gone. And I'm sure it happened very fast. We've actually, and I didn't bring these pictures, but we've actually birthed babies on that. I don't think anybody wants to see that. So I think it has a lot of potential. It's a new area for 911. We've always been in the submarine without a periscope, and now we've actually got a window out to where we can look. Doesn't do us as much good as it does the responders, so that's what we're working on now, is being able to get that information and get it out to responders quicker and better. But I think it has a lot of potential, especially within medical situations. Coming close to the end, next is our incident dispatch unit. We have a fully staffed incident dispatch unit, so they're on standby down there tonight. That's the beauty shot of our truck on the next slide.
Yeah.
We're stuck.
Okay, that's right.
We've got our paper copies up here at the dais.
So the incident dispatch unit, we use that to get big calls out of the center because, you know, when something big is going on, we still have the regular calls coming in. A big event can sometimes serve as a distraction. So we try to get it out of the center, and this unit can respond out to the scene and actually provide direct support to the incident commander. I think both of your chiefs can tell you that on a lot of after action reports, you always see that communications was a problem, whether it was something that we did wrong or whether there was just problems actually communicating between resources or something of the like. I hate seeing that on after action reports, and that's my vow, is I don't ever want to see it in Hamilton County. So sending that unit out to where, you know, Chief Seiler, if he's having communications problems, he can go right to that unit and say, I'm having a communications problem. They can fix it right then, so he can get back to managing the incident effectively, rather than us hearing about an after action report. Our unit is trained to all FEMA standards, the Federal Emergency Management Agency standards. We've got communications unit leaders. We've got incident communication center managers, incident tactical dispatchers. They all go through an extensive amount of training. We just started last month as the communications unit for the Tri-State Mutual Aid Association, so we're responding throughout that organization's response area. We're about the only ones in East Tennessee. Bradley's got a few people that are certified. Williamson County, they're south of Nashville. They've also got a few people certified, but in East Tennessee, it's us. So I'm very proud of them. And then last is our Telecommunicator Emergency Response Task Force, which is TERT. TERT responds out in a big disaster. It's usually an out-of-state response. It came about after Hurricane Katrina. So we responded 7 times in response to hurricanes in North Carolina, South Carolina, Florida, and Alabama. And what that does, we actually go out to a 911 center that's been hit by that. We help them take on some of their call load for them. We staff them up. The important thing that I've always said that we do is we let their people go home, because those telecommunicators are sitting there, their family, their homes have been affected by this hurricane, and they're working because they're dedicated, and there's nobody to relieve them. So we can come in and relieve them, let them go take care of their personal issues and get back to work. All that is funded through federal disaster dollars. I'm proud that they've gone out that much, but those are some things that people may not know that 911 does besides answer calls and dispatch services. And we're working on more and more. If anybody has any questions about anything, I've got my email in this packet. Please visit our website. It's a very popular website with the active calls on it. And then my public engagement person would kill me if I didn't tell you to go check out our Facebook too.
Mayor, if I could add that, the reason we have Jeff here with us this evening is April 14th through 20 is Telecommunicator Appreciation Week. And so there is a proclamation for us to read, but really the heavy hitting part was from Jeff himself, and we'll save the proclamation for the regular meeting.
Excellent.
Thank you so much,
Thanks.
Mr. Carney, for joining us
Thank you for
today.
being here.
In Red Bank, we are fortunate to be served by Hamilton County 911. Your organization has several times the employees that ours does, so we definitely need your support. All right. We will return to our agenda with item 2, end of year budget amendment, ordinance number 24-1257, the city recorder Perry.
This is to appropriate the funds that we've received from the Violent Crimes Intervention Grant and expenditures just to go to salaries.
Okay, thank you very much. Item 4, add Emily Crouch to Cemetery Citizens Advisory Board, Resolution 24-1675. Mr. Granum.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm gonna ask Sal to come up and Emily to come up just to say hello. Sal, you wanna tell us a little bit about the Cemetery Advisory Board?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, come on up, Emily.
Yeah. I appreciate the opportunity. The cemetery board has been in operation for quite some time now. We have good members on that board, and there were a couple of spots open. So Emily here, some of you will recognize, she used to be a barista at the meeting house. And then she left there and now she's doing other things in her life. But her and her husband, Micah, they live in Red Bank and they wanted to come and help. So I said, why don't you just join this board? And the reason is you meet all of the different people, all different lifestyles, and intelligence levels and so on. And
What are you implying, Sal?
and I wanted her to come on board, and she is going to be on the cemetery board. The cemetery board is an exciting Red Bank advisory board. All of the people that are on the board are dedicated to the preservation of the cemeteries, the Red Bank Cemetery, and now we're going to slowly start getting involved in the field, the potter's field. That will be a huge assignment, but we're all dedicated to that. And I want to thank Martin for helping do whatever we need to do for that board. Now, April 27th, now Pete, Commissioner Phillips. You're not getting off the hook. April 27th is a work day at the cemetery. I want you all, this whole commission, if you can, come up there. It's from 9 until noon, just to see what we do and just to educate yourselves on how to clean the headstones. What are we doing with the fencing? So on and so forth.
Cut down some privet.
Yeah, and Hayes knows about some boundaries there, don't you, buddy? But I want you
Lots of
all to
privet.
come up as a commission because you support us, because we're gonna come back to you and ask for money. But if you get up there and you see what's happening, that's a really big deal. So I'm hoping, you don't have to stay that long, but if you want to stay long and bring work gloves, we'll put you to work. So I appreciate that. So Emily here.
Emily, anything you'd like to add?
I mean, I can fill in a few gaps. Sal
Yeah,
pretty
go ahead.
much said it all.
Thank you.
But my husband and I have been in Red Bank for 4 years. My background is in nonprofit communications and marketing, and I have degrees in writing and conservation biology. So this marriage of environment and history and community is really important to me. Right now, I'm working as a grant administrator. I should probably be able to say it, a grant administrator for the Tennessee Association of Utility Districts. So I love working with small systems and communities. My job is really just networking with local mayors and their committees to help them get the funding they need. So I would love, every time Salad would pitch it to me, I got more excited because it does seem like such an opportunity to get my hands dirty and some really important work going on in Red Bank, and to meet more of my community in the process, and hopefully give any communications or grant skills or just, clearing privet.
You never get enough of that.
No.
Thank you, Emily. Thank you, Sal.
Okay, thank you.
All right. We have another advisory board today. We have item 5, add Sandra Fegans to Festival Citizens Advisory Board, Resolution 24-1676. Deputy Director Johnson.
Thank you, Mayor. I feel really ill-prepared in follow-up.
We've all been
I
there.
apologize. I don't think you speech very well than you.
I don't think I was as well as Emily.
Good, I'm on the committee.
So with that being said, this is our opportunity to onboard now a 9th member of the Festival Advisory Board that is taking a heavy lift in preparation of our fast approaching Jubilee in May 4th. This still leaves one vacancy on that board. We have up to 10, so we're slowly getting it back up to full speed. Jeffrey and that committee has worked really hard to, again, prepare for the Jubilee. So Sandra, they welcome you. If you want to come up and say hello to the commission, we appreciate you stepping up and willing to participate.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I'm looking forward to this. I think it's going to be, it's so exciting to see the things that are happening in Red Bank, and I think this is a great way to just continue that, the community involvement, and you guys have done a great job so far, and I want to be a small part of that.
And thank you for
Thank
you and Ms. Crouch for being willing to serve. Both the Citizens Advisory Board for the cemetery and the Festival Advisory Board are really knocking it out of the park. You will both be in excellent company with your board members, so we're excited to have you.
Thank
The
you.
next meeting will be in 2 weeks.
Okay,
We
perfect.
had a meeting last night, so.
Oh, okay. Didn't get that one.
And then they first.
And then it's the
then
big
it's here.
day. And then you get a yellow vest. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, item 6, resolution to update administrative hearing officer services agreement, resolution number 24-1677.
Thank you. I'll make it quick. This is more internal housekeeping. Every so often we take a look at the contracted services that we have. The current administrative hearing officer ordinance was actually last approached in 2018. We have a fantastic working relationship with Mr. James Exum, who is our administrative hearing officer. We recently met again with him to make sure everything was on the same page and that he was equally pleased with the work he was doing as well as what we were receiving. He does really share that responsibility with other jurisdictions. So we benefit from having one administrative hearing officer in local areas that's hearing similar cases across our area. So this is to bring that on board, to renew that contractual agreement with him and to keep us moving forward.
All right. Any questions for Ms. Johnson? Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. So we have now reached the time for citizen comments for items on this work session agenda. Mr. Granum.
Thank you, Mayor. This is the time for citizen comments. Please observe these rules. Comments are limited to 2 minutes or less in work session, and the city recorder will operate the timer visible on the dais. Please respect her direction and conclude any comments if time expires. Comments should be addressed to the board as a whole and not to a particular commissioner, city staff, or the audience. The commission is here to listen, not to respond or engage in back and forth, so please do not expect a reply during public comment. At this time, citizens are invited to the podium to comment. Please begin by stating your name and address.
Nobody's following me. Okay, Sal Rigo Jr., I don't live in Red Bank, I live just on the other side of the Mountain Springs Road, so I'm in Chattanooga. I just wanted to say that the lady who made the presentation for the Northside Neighborhood House, when she put up those pictures, those were 3 junior lions that are in the the picture who are working in the community, and they're all applying for scholarships, and they're all young people. So I wish he was here. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Rico. Any other comments for items on this work session agenda?
Cliff McKay, Berkeley Drive. This is actually a question about the 911 unification. When did it unify?
In 2009.
Okay, good. I was asking because I had an incident on 911 like back in '93 and was quite upset about it. It took 15 minutes response, for the response. But the big thing was I called them back and they said, no, it's only been 5 minutes. I know it was because I looked at the clock when I called and I looked at the clock again. So anyway, but I'm glad. And I think it has improved and it is good. Thankfully, I've not used it, so I don't know.
And hopefully you won't have to. Thank you, Mr. McCabe. Any other comments for items on this work session agenda?
Oh, let me say, the basketball team will try to make, you're asking for citizens.
Oh, no,
I'll go.
if there's no more citizen comments,
Sorry.
that's okay. Then it's any other business, so please go ahead.
Yeah, they'll try to be here in May. Coach Fike did not realize that some of his players were on other spring sports, track, baseball, and I don't know that they would have been able to attend anyway with the weather, school shut down. So fingers crossed, maybe we'll make that happen in May.
Okay.
Just to be recognized.
Do you have like a statement prepared for them or anything you want to give them or anything? Just recognize them.
When and if they come, and if at the end of May, school's out, then I'll ask Coach Fike to give me a rundown on
Some stats.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, thank you.
Excellent. I did have a brief question related to the Hamilton County 911 Pulse Point service. Are our new AEDs registered in that database? Does anyone know? They're not yet. The city of Red Bank has recently added some AEDs to city facilities. If there would be a way to get those connected to that service, that would be a great boon to our citizens. All right. Any other business?
I only just have one thing. When is Marty supposed to come back and see us again, Marty?
Marty Haynes.
Yes, he will. I have not communicated with him since he couldn't make it, but yes, he will come back. Yes.
All right.
Right. Any other business? All right. If not, we'll take a brief, we'll go ahead and conclude the work session. We'll reconvene at 6 o'clock for our regular meeting. We will be trying to get through our 6 o'clock session as breezily as possible in an effort to get everyone home safe ahead of this storm front that's coming in. So be prepared for a lightning round. No pun intended.
Yeah. I think my report would be a little shorter than usual. You're welcome.
Despite our best
Hello,
efforts,
goodbye.
might catch it anyways.
Oh, we're gonna catch it, but it's supposed to get steadily worse.
They changed the
until
address
9
where I
o'clock,
live.
so it's still the earlier we get off, the better.
So this is
At
kind
your
of
house where
crazy.
you are now?
Yesterday,
Where
I
you
was like,
Yeah.
so I was on my way to pick up Rice,
Sam's okay.
and we're right by UCC, and this truck carried and like I was stopped in the right lane. And I watched it happen like 10 feet from me. And so I jumped out. Same as like, I was the first person to call 911 on the scene. So this is 24 hours ago. And so yeah, I was like going to make a thank you to Hamilton County 911 anyways. So.
Well, he's here. You want to
Yeah,
go talk to
I
him?
told him in person. I was like, wow,
Oh, you told him before the meeting?
yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Like your staff was like,
We're professional.
yeah, they were
Yeah.
like,